Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Before I Do, the show that shares with you everything that should be done before saying I do, whether you are dating, engaged, in a relationship, out here in these streets, trying to figure out exactly what you want to do on the relationship side. We are here to help facilitate courageous conversations on dating and relationships.
Absolutely. And the show is meant to be interactive. So when we pose our speak now or forever hold your peace questions, we want to hear about you, your experiences, your friends' experiences, or whatever it is you want to offer. We are here. We're your practitioners ready to serve and support you.
Absolutely. Want to start off by, first of all, saying thank you all so much to all of you who reached out to us and wished us a happy anniversary. Yeah. We celebrated 23 years last Thursday, March the 16th. And so thankful to all of you. It was a really, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great anniversary celebration. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well.
It was very nice. 23. Every year gets better. Every year gets more spicy. You know, it's always something new to explore. So, don't listen to the people who tell you, at 20 years, there's nothing else to be explored. No, your bodies are changing. They're getting more experience, and there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do to experience intimacy, intellectual intimacy, physical intimacy, and so much more.
Absolutely. And also last week, we concluded a very interesting series relating to cornerstone relationships, capstone relationships, and keystone relationships, which is really interesting. I learned a lot when it comes to the differences in those relationships. So a cornerstone relationship is a relationship of two individuals who are actually at the beginning of the stages of discovering themselves, also at the very beginning of their, oftentimes, their professional and personal pursuits as well. And they decide to get married and actually build those things as a collective, with marriage serving as the cornerstone of all the things that they will accomplish and do.
Absolutely. And then we have pretty much the capstone marriages, where you have two individuals who most of their lives, their focus has been on their individual branding. I am going to create myself, build my own brand first. And then at the once I have done that, I have my career, I have invested in property, I have a decent savings account, I've accomplished a lot of my personal individual goals. Now I think I'm ready to be joined with someone else to probably build a family. Typically, a family is motivated for a capstone marriage to get married.
Absolutely. And one of the ones that we definitely learned a whole lot about, that I didn't know a lot about before going into this particular series, is a keystone relationship. Now, a keystone relationship has some of the same features and characteristics of a capstone relationship. The major difference is that those individuals are actually accomplishing those things with the intention of completing it, and all of it being done with the intention of getting married. And so if they don't get married, they're oftentimes likely to see their accomplishments as failures, because those things were all done in the anticipation of then going into a union and into a marriage. So really fascinating. And so this whole idea of cornerstone, capstone, and keystone relationships has been really fascinating. And want to give a special shout out to Miss Valencia. Miss Valencia says they just celebrated 38 years.
Yeah.
That's a gun too.
Hey.
38 special. So definitely.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And I know y'all got some testimonies about how it can get better and better and better. And it does, right? We have a lot of people out here campaigning, telling people, don't do it. Don't do it. And so we need to, make sure we're letting people know that we are fulfilled in our relationships, and that they can have a thriving, flourishing relationship and to be happy, right? You don't need to say, oh, I'm happily married. No, all marriages, we strive here at Couples Academy to ensure that you are fulfilled in your marriage.
Absolutely. And so anything worth having is worth working for, and marriage is no different. And so you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And so it's very important as it relates to your marriage, whatever type of marriage you have, whether it's a keystone, a capstone, or a cornerstone marriage, that you are committed to continuing on in the work. So tonight, what we want to focus on is the common thread between all three of those marriages. And it's this idea that there's this challenge between balancing the individual purpose and the collective purposes in those marriages and relationships. So we want to talk tonight about how to gain we without losing me. So how to gain that marriage, how to grow with your spouse, how to make sure that you are building a collective union that is going to be mutually beneficial while also maintaining that individual presence and continuing to pursue some of your personal pursuits.
All right, so get your journals out, because this is the conversation that happens. This is, if you talk to a millennial, if you talk to a older Gen Zer, right, they're coming at you to say, look, I do not want my grandmama's marriage, my grandmama and my granddaddy's, marriage. I don't want my aunt and my aunts, my aunt and my uncle's marriage. I want something that really will fulfill me. And so this is speaking to a concern that our younger generation has now. Why should I attach myself to someone, right, and lose me? There is a fear, a phobia of, man, if I get married, I'm going to drown, and I will not have my fingerprint. I will not be an individual. I pretty much get lost in the sauce and of the branded relationship. And so tonight, when we talk about how to gain we without losing me, we definitely want to dive in. So get your journals out and be ready to take note.
And that's a really interesting point too, as well, because a lot of people actually shy away from marriage because they don't believe that they will be able to pursue some of their individual interests when they get married, especially again for a number of years, especially on the spiritual side, where it is encouraged that once you become a wife, you have to essentially abandon all of the purpose, all of the interests, all of the passions that you have individually as a woman. And so it's been really interesting over the past 20 years or so, 25 years, to really look at how the dynamics and the opportunities when it comes to women professionally in the workforce and balancing that as it relates to the expectations when it comes to being a mother and being a wife, and some of the pushback that they have received. And of course, people seeking to justify that with the Bible. And let me inform you all, you can use the Bible to justify anything you want to do. So,
but that
doesn't mean that it's right.
And
so
that God is co-signing on
absolutely.
that.
So you can find a scripture for anything that you want to do, but that does not make it spiritually sound, and that does not make it proper doctrine. So we have to make sure that we have it in the right context. So as we start this conversation, we want to make sure that we're starting with equal footing. And so when we talk about individual purpose, what we mean is a broad pursuit of your life's meaning, what you are driven to achieve, and it is closely aligned with a person's identity, which is the essence of who they are, their personal brand. These are the things that make them distinct, their strengths, their passions, their interests, their abilities, their perspectives, and all of the things that essentially make them tick. It's not necessarily, this is important, what you do, but rather it is how you do it. So someone may have the same job as you, but the way you go about administering and doing that work is a part of your individuality. So although you may express your purpose in different ways and in different contexts, what is important is that the people that are close to you, they will be able to identify those things that make you unique and those things that they will miss you if you absolutely weren't around.
All right. So with that, let's go into our first speak now. All right. So before we get into our first speak now question, because we definitely want you to marinate on that. We want you to marinate on your individual purpose. And then we want to look at the collective purpose. So the collective purpose, that's the commitment of two or more people to a course of action that creates and supports and employs a joint enterprise, meaning two people coming together for one purpose, one cause. And when we work together as a people, our efforts are amplified, challenges and burdens are shared, and successes are also shared and experiences. And it gives us a broader sense of understanding.
Absolutely. So you can hear even in those explanations of individual and collective purpose where the conflict can actually come in. Whereas an individual, I have certain gifts, talents, abilities, and interests that I want to pursue as a fulfillment of what I believe that I have been put here for. But when it comes to the collective and what we have been brought together to do, do those things supersede and are they more important than the things that I feel that I have been individually put here to do? Is there space for me to actually pursue those things, or do they have to be put to the side? And if so, for how long?
First of all, I'm not putting it aside. I'm not putting it aside.
We know.
I am going to live on purpose. A part of being happy is, and let me tell you, I've been there. Women, ladies, mamas, aunties, sisters, cousins, and I'm speaking to the ladies because that's my area of expertise. I can't speak for the guys, but I will tell you, ladies, come on now. There is something about the additional hats that we put on when we're in a relationship to where, we're givers. We serve, almost to the point of martyrship. And you don't want to become a martyr, because guess what? You weren't asked to do that. Sometimes, especially at the consequence of you disappearing. It's like, okay, what happened to Charmaine the woman? Where did she go? Right? And so I have often found myself, and again, not because my husband asked me to, but this is me. I'm a wife. I want to take care of my husband, right? I'm a mom. I want to take care of my children. I'm a professional. I want to serve, and I'm an educator, so I want to serve my scholars, their families. I want to serve my job well, and I want to make a difference, right? But what happens when you get so consumed with serving others to where you don't even receive when people are trying to serve you, and then two, you stop serving yourself. You stop becoming the leader in that work. That makes for a very unbalanced, unhappy person.
Absolutely. And as a husband or as a man, it's important that as leaders, not only do we have a plan for our family, but we also have a plan to really support. We have to have a plan to support them in their individual pursuits, because those are the things that are actually going to feed them and really help them with their energy, not only for some of the collective things that we have, but it shows that we actually have an interest in who they are, separate from some of the titles and the hats that they have that are just going to be personally beneficial to us. And so that is an important part of our role as men, is to support and to cultivate and to build up those skills, talents, gifts, and abilities in our spouses, in our children, not just in the perspective of what we believe that they should be doing or how those things may directly benefit our household and our mission, but also making sure that they're walking in their individual purpose as well. And we're a part of cultivating that.
So we have the individual purpose and we have collective purpose.
That's right.
And it's important that both of the individual purposes and those strengths are being heightened, because again, I need to know and have confidence that, apart from me, my husband, he's going to be capable of being the leader of our home. And if something were to happen to me, I have the confidence that he's going to be able to lead our daughters, right? And to continue to keep them on purpose, right? As well as if something were to happen to me, he wants the confidence that, I have the leadership, I have the self-confidence and awareness that I will be able to lead our family and move our collective purpose forward, as well as to help our daughters with their individual purposes and goals as well.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into our first speak now question of the night, which is, do you know your, I'm sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Do you know your individual purpose? If so, how does this information, how does this inform the way that you navigate your relationships? We want you to speak now. Come on, speak now or forever hold your peace. Do you know your individual purpose? And if so, is that informing how you're navigating your relationship?
And if it's not, it definitely should. These are things that it's important for you to know your individual purpose, for you to have a strong sense of identity and allow that to really make sure that you have that in front of mind when you are meeting and interacting with different individuals, to see if they are a part of your path, of your walk in your life, and what their potential role is. And so we've talked about before that oftentimes when we evaluate potential mates and spouses, we don't necessarily prioritize the things that we need to in the forefront. We often put the physical features and a lot of superficial things as the leading and the primary things that we give the most give the most weight. When a lot of these types of situations and things, when it comes to our gifts and our abilities, we don't put those things in the proper context, and we choose individuals that do not really nourish those things.
So, quick question for you. All right, we don't want to give all the breadcrumbs away, because we do expect, we're your practitioners and we want to hear from you.
Yes.
Book a session with us. But do you have any advice for those of our listeners or those of our Couples Academy supporters who are watching right now, and they're like, no, I actually don't know what my purpose is? Do you have a strategy or something that you do to help encourage to identify one's purpose?
Absolutely. So both Charmaine and I do individual coaching. And so that is one of the first things that we do, is we do an assessment with our clients to make sure that they know exactly where their gifts, talents, interests, and passions lie. And then allowing that again to inform them where they should be working. Maybe they're in a job that doesn't even match up with some of the abilities and passions that they have inside of them. So as you mentioned, I don't want to give away all the trade secrets, but that is one of the first places that we start when it comes to our individual coaching, is making sure that we are partnering with people to ensure that they know exactly where their gifts and talents and skills are, and allow those things to inform them when it comes to their personality. Everyone, we're going to take a quick commercial break. So be sure to put your questions and your comments in the chat, and we'll be right back with more Before I Do.
Welcome back to Before I Do. Tonight, you were supposed to be here. You were supposed to be watching. We are talking about how to gain we without losing me. Again, how to gain the we without losing me. And before our commercial break, we posed our Speak Now, Forever Hold Your Peace question, which was, do you know your purpose? And if so, how do you use it to inform your relationships? So do you know your individual purpose, and how does this inform the way that you navigate your relationships? This is a powerful question that we ask you, because before you attach yourself and you become a we, you absolutely need a solid foundation of the me. And so we definitely want to encourage you to think about that. What is your purpose? And if not, definitely book us for a session for us to take you through that process to help you get some clarity, and so that you can begin really nourishing and nurturing your individual relationship with yourself.
Nina Wright actually put a question in the chat, which I thought was really good for us to tackle before we get into how you can identify signs that you've lost yourself in a relationship. She says, I feel like my husband doesn't support most of what I do. What do I do?
Well, the first thing is, what does support look, feel, and sound like? One of my favorite questions, the look, feels, and sounds. And educated, we love that graphic organizer, because, right, we have to write a vision and make it plain. And so when I use the word support, we are a unique couple, because my personality type is I'm a 5 on Enneagram, and you are?
I'm a 2.
And so Danielle Pettiford, our awesome CEO, CFO of Couples Academy, she does a great job of identifying the personality types. But your relationship with your spouse is very unique. And so support. Interestingly enough, you might say my husband doesn't support what I do, but does he know? Does he have a model for what support looks, feels, and sounds like for you? And so the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is identify what support would look, feel, and sound like. What is it that you want? What are you asking for? Because maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he hasn't seen that modeled, right? Maybe the marriages he's seen, support is just, I'm the man. I'm going to go to work every day. She can count on me to get up. She can count on me to go to work every day. She can count on me to provide and to bring home a wage. Maybe that's support, because that's what I saw modeled, right? But in this day and age, especially for women, we're expecting more, and we're asking for more emotional support from our husbands. And so what does support look like? That's the first thing, right?
And yeah, what I will say is on the husband side, a lot of husbands are concerned about when it comes to those individual pursuits, time and energy being taken away from the collective energy and the collective mission of the home. So that's again part of the reason why we're having this discussion tonight. So you may have to work backwards, meaning that helping him to recognize the benefit of you pursuing some of those individual things and helping him to see how those things help the home, how those things benefit the household. And then that will allow some buy-in for you to potentially get the support that you need for some of those individual endeavors that you're purposing on pursuing.
Absolutely, because it goes back to love languages as well, which we thrive on ensuring couples know their love language. But would you help your husband do something that is going to pull him farther away from you?
Right.
He's not going to help you do something that's going to take you farther away from him. So when we talk about support, and what it is that you're doing, making sure it aligns with your purpose. But how can I walk in my purpose and my calling, and also make sure that my other relationships, the relationship with my husband, my children, etc., that they are fulfilled as well, and that their emotional needs, you're balancing all of those relationships. And so we really encourage you definitely to reflect on that support, but also reflect on what is it that if you're not getting that support and you're not sure why, ask yourselves, when you're doing what you're doing, how for every yes, we're saying a no to something else. You're saying yes to the things that you're doing, right? And so how is your husband experiencing the no? Because
yeah, and I was going to say, Charmaine, you mentioned that actually goes right into our next segment, because you mentioned something at the beginning where there are a lot of individuals who they get into relationships and or marriages and they look up and they're like, wow, like I don't even know myself. Like I've lost myself. So we want to get into a couple of ways that you can identify if you have lost your individual identity within your relationship. Some of the telltale signs that you may be experiencing identity loss within your relationship.
All right, number one, you are afraid of doing things alone. Okay. So that's one telltale sign that you are losing yourself in this relationship. Why? Why are you afraid of doing things alone? So it's easy to get into a habit of spending all of your spare time with your partner, right? It's like, okay, I used to go to the mall by myself, but you know what? Now I always go to the mall with him or her, or I'm always, I can't go to the grocery store without him or her, or we pay all the bills together. We go here together. We are always together. And so now it's to the point where your alone time, first of all, alone time is a crucial part of maintaining your identity. So if you find yourself avoiding solo activities you used to enjoy, you might want to take a step back and examine why this is. Why now are you afraid of being, or you are avoiding being by yourself? That is important. That's a part of loving yourself. That is a part of saying that I am worthy of sitting with myself. I can enjoy my own company. And if you are not the leader in enjoying time with yourself, then that sends a message to all of your other relationships. Why should they enjoy spending time with you if you don't enjoy spending time with you?
Absolutely. Second sign is that you are suppressing your differences. And so becoming similar when you're in a relationship, when you're growing close with someone, that is absolutely normal. But it's important to remember that you must retain your own identity in a relationship and not completely lose yourself. Now, your opinions have become so merged with someone else that you're unsure of what is actually your own thoughts and what's your partner's thoughts. And so this is the same thing when it comes to your feelings. Obviously, we want to empathize with our partners. When our partners are hurt, we're hurt. When our partners are disappointed, we're disappointed. But we also too have to be able to stand in our identity because it allows us to be able to have objectivity when our partners are going through certain things. And being able to offer good, godly, wise counsel, being able to speak truth to power, those things come with us being able to stand in our individuality. So it's a tricky place to be in. And the fact that you can go along with some of these things without commenting on them, it may suggest that you've lost your true self when it comes to the relationship. Now, you won't always agree with one another, but it is a sign that you're losing your identity if you lose the ability to stick up for what you believe in and to actually put a voice to your opinions.
Absolutely. Once you start silencing or suppressing your voice, that's a big issue. Number 3, all right, signs that you're losing yourself in this relationship. Number 3, you stop making yourself a priority. What happened? What happened? I have been there. You used to go and get your hair done. You used to take, you used to make sure that your appearance, those things that really just helped you to just, have a little boost of confidence, right? And so the self-care things, whatever those things are, why are we not making ourselves a priority? So again, that self-care can really go out the window when you're in the middle of losing yourself in a relationship, meaning that now I would have spent this money on getting my hair done, but this person needs this, or this person needs this. This person always have a need. And next thing you know, they don't miss a haircut every 2 weeks. Okay. But you've been wearing that same wig for the past 12 months. Girl, I'm gonna need you.
I feel a little judgment. I got to get my hair cut for my job.
I'm telling my own business
Don't
right now.
be slick dissing.
I'm telling my own business right now, okay? So, no, I've been there, though, where you're making these sacrifices for everyone else. Nobody asked you to be this martyr, right? And then if you do this too long and you stop making yourself a priority, you will eventually start to grow resentment for everyone else. But the problem is you weren't the leader in your own work, right? And so you give. Have you become a person where you are not able to receive from everyone else? You shun people away because you're the giver, right? To where you won't even receive. But you know what? What you did in that moment is you stopped making yourself a priority. So other people stop making you a priority as well.
Absolutely. And can I know I'm jumping the gun, but I really have to say this about this one. And this is foreshadowed, just so you know. When your partner has self-care time, when they are able to take care of themselves, it benefits you as a partner so much.
Say it again.
Please, no, I was looking around for the bell.
Amen.
Because I'm telling you, when your partner is really taking care of themselves, fellas, when your lady is able to have a spa day or have some me time, I can't tell you how much I benefit from my wife being able to have time to herself, and the energy and the attentiveness and just all of the things that come along with her being able to revitalize herself. So I just wanted to throw that out there. My name is Walter, and I approve that message. All right. So number 4, we talked originally about you being afraid to do things alone. And it could be because you have become codependent on your partner. You're finding that you can't do things without your partner, and all of your decisions revolve around them. You're constantly asking for them for their opinion and their permission before making decisions. Now, this is not to say that you don't need to consult your partner and your spouse before making decisions, but what this is saying is that you have to be very careful not to allow the totality of those decisions to completely hinge on your partner's opinion. You have an opinion, you have a perspective as well. So it goes with on saying that it goes beyond taking advice and support. You're actually seeking their approval for things that you want to do. Now, everything that you do is centering around what they think and what your partner's opinion is going to be if you even choose to go against it.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. The Amen Corner is alive and well tonight. And then number 5, a sign that you're losing yourself. Come on. And we don't want queens and kings. We do not want you to lose yourself in a relationship. That does not have to be the trajectory of your situation. Number 5, you become a control freak. Feeling lost in the relationship, it can lead to perfectionism. And this is what happens, right? So the need for everything to go exactly your way. So you try to control every aspect of your life to compensate for the lack of voice and identity within your relationship. Oh my gosh. When we are in a place where we don't have a circle of control over here, then you know what? I'm going to dominate over here. I'm going to dominate at work. I'm going to dominate my children. I'm going to dominate my friendship circles. It's all about what I want to do, where I want to go. And you don't even realize, wow, you back your other relationships up in the corner, and people are like, what is going on with you? So again, you feel out of control, overwhelmed, and that you're not sure who you are anymore. So you try to control everything else in your life. Listen to your other relationships, your friendships, your coworker situations, and things like that. Because if people are starting to tell you that things seem to, we always have to go where you want to go, it's on your time and on your terms, you want to step back and ask yourself, am I listening more than I'm speaking? And am I observing more than I am doing and trying to dominate?
This one actually reminds me of a joke from a comedian. And he was talking about this dude that every weekend, this dude would go to the club looking for somebody to fight. Because of the frustration in his home.
Got it.
Because of the frustration in his home, he said it was this guy that went to the club every weekend to fight someone. And so we see that same kind of transference of frustration with us, where when we don't feel like we have voice, when we're losing our identity in our relationship, we will then begin to micromanage other relationships and other parts of our life, seeking for some measure of control, when the real answer is turning back inward towards your relationship and making sure that you are seizing, reclaiming your voice and your contribution when it comes to that relationship.
Absolutely. You don't have control over how your partner responds to you, but you definitely have a circle of control over you. And you do have a circle of influence over how your partner is experiencing you, and ensuring that your voice and the things that matter to you are being put out there.
Absolutely. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, but before we do, we want to get into our second Speak Now question of the night, which is, have you ever lost yourself in a relationship? If you did, what happened to make you realize that you did? And maybe you didn't even know. Maybe some of you, as you're listening to us right now under the sound of our voice, you're like, wow, I've lost myself in my relationship. So the question then becomes, how did you address it? Or for those of you that may be coming into the realization of it now, how do you address it? And when we come back from this break, we are actually going to share with you 5 tips to help you reclaim and walk in balance and identity in your relationship.
So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Get your journals out. Be ready to take notes, because stay tuned here. We want to make sure that you have everything that you need to make sure that you have a sense of me in the we.
We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Everyone, welcome back to Before I Do. Tonight, we are talking about how to gain we without losing me, balancing individuality and collective purpose in relationships. King Ship, who's with us, says he is loving this. And also Miss Nina Wright is saying preach, and also heeding Charmaine's advice. She has her journal out, where you definitely want to make sure that you have your journal and your pens or pencils ready, because we are getting ready to share with you 5 tips to help you balance your individual and collective purpose in your relationship. All right. So number 1, you want to make sure that you are balancing your time together. Many couples who are really in love, they tend to spend a lot of their time together. Nothing wrong with that at all. However, you need to also create time and space for your family, for your friends, and also for other solo activities, things you do by yourself. And so time together, it must be balanced with time spent with others or alone. And so we want to make sure that we're allocating time in all three of those areas. And as I mentioned earlier, I cannot reiterate the importance of allowing your partner to really have that alone time, or to have that time even with their friends and going out. When they would come back to you, they are refreshed and their mind is just in such a better place and state that they are just really a lot more agreeable and just a lot more pleasurable to be around.
Oh, I see you.
I'm just saying.
You smiling like you got a personal testimony.
I'm just saying. Don't make me have devotion in him.
Well, I definitely want to add to that, because literally, I will add to that, because literally I spoke with an at-home mom, a mom and a wife who she stays at home with a child during the day, and the one day of the week where she needs to go do something, have some office hours, or it's like her husband is calling her every 5 minutes, like, you know, as if he can't be alone with the child. And I said, aren't you with the child like 7 days a week? She's like, yes. I said, let me tell you something. No, you need to set a boundary right now. Because the bottom line is you need to have a day to yourself. And you need to have times even when the husband comes home from work that, I'm sorry, you get to clock out from work at some point. And so in our relationships, we need those boundaries, healthy boundaries. And I said, you need to have a date with yourself every week. Women, all right, specifically if you care for the children and you have a lot of those roles and responsibilities, you need to have a date with yourself. That is important. Can you go out to lunch by yourself and enjoy your own company? And those things are very, very important. So I just want to put that out there. And if you are too predictable, so if you work from home or whatever, a man, it doesn't matter if you're the husband or wife, if you're a little bit too predictable, you're always at home, you wear the same 10 outfits every 2 weeks, right? Unless unless it does it for your partner. But come on, that predictability can lead to complacency. And that's not a good look. You, at some point, something should turn your partner's head. So switch your hair up. If you wear your hair down all the time, wear it up. Ladies, if you always wear that, that clear gloss, we want to put some color on those lips. Go out with your friends and have a good time. All right, I digress. I'm supposed to be on number 2. Number 2, okay, stay focused on your individual goals. What are they? First of all, do you have any? Okay, what are your individual goals? And so I know in our relationship, 20 years ago, interestingly enough, in school, my last class that I took was marriage and family counseling. And I told my husband, I was like, man, this was the best course that I took in my whole degree. And my degree was in Spanish education. And so I wanted to train teachers. And you know what? My husband, he really when I start to get the job opportunities to do what I said I always wanted to do 20 years ago, do you know he supported me? He even supported me driving 100 miles to work, driving an hour and a half to work and an hour and a half home. I would drive 200 miles a day to get to this dream job that I wanted. And he supported me in it. So what are your goals? What do you want to do? Sometimes we're not getting the support we want because we have not put a voice to it. We won't put a sound to it. And so I challenge you, write the vision, make it plain. I want you to write out your top 3 goals for the next year and for the next 5 years. What are some things you want to do, accomplish? I don't care if it's just a trip out of the country. What do you want to do, right? If it's writing a book, write those goals down, put a voice to it. You'll be surprised that the village will come to you, the people who are supposed to support you. And a lot of times your partner they're not going to be your all in all. Meaning they're going to be other people sent to you to support you accomplish these goals.
Absolutely. And this actually, number 3, piggybacks exactly on what you're saying. And you want to make sure that you are supporting your partner's independence. As you support your partner and encourage them, you want to make sure that you're empowering them to be the biggest, brightest versions of themselves. Once again, exactly. It's sexy, but again, it's also practical, because you being the best you that you can be, that's a benefit for me. Absolutely. That benefits the household. So, that is something that actually is of benefit to us when we support our partners and empower them in such a way when it comes to their independence. It really helps them to be better and more productive in the home. So there is a practical application inside to that as it relates to not only, remember, noticing these, it's not just things that you are doing for yourself to cultivate your identity and your particular purpose, but you're also going to be doing things to support your partner in their independence and their identity as well. And so making sure that you're supporting their independence. The story that Charmaine just told, what she didn't mention is that she had forgotten what she said as it relates to when she started sharing with me about this opportunity. I went back 20 years ago. I said, honey, this is it. Like 20 years ago, you said you wanted to train teachers, and this is your opportunity. Yeah. So I was reminding her about something that she had as an individual goal. I see how you look at me, girl.
I know.
I was reminding her about something that she had set as an individual goal when we were dating for herself. And so that is a really important part of helping to encourage and support one another's identity.
Husbands, him supporting me in that during that time period, it was a sacrifice.
Oh, I call hell now.
It was a sacrifice.
It was tough.
You're talking about an hour and a half drive to work and an hour and a half after I got off work coming home for 2 years, 80,000 miles on the car. And again, me being away from the home a lot, which means he stepped up with our children. You had a teenager in high school, and we have a daughter with special needs. And so, yeah, he stepped up during that season to really support me in that time period. But even in our marriage, there's times where I stepped up to help him, and Absolutely. I made those sacrifices. And so and other men, he caught it. There was a lot of talk and opinions that other men had about him, like, how are you going to let your wife do this? And I'm sorry, that was the sexiest, most attractive thing ever. And it really helped. It just really helped us in an area of intimacy. And it helped me to know that, man, my husband, my man supports me. Okay. And so now there's even a deeper level of just respect and love and concern. He had to trust that I wasn't going to go off and find something better to elevate myself to where I graduated above him. He wasn't concerned about that. He had to have confidence, and it does require us to be confident individually. So we're not insecure that we're in competition with our partner, or that my partner is going to level up and phase me out.
Yeah, it absolutely strengthened the bond between us as well. And it really reinforced our marriage, and the fact that even if no one else agreed, even if no one else liked it,
a lot of
it
people
doesn't
said
matter.
We were crazy.
Exactly. A lot of people criticized us, but the bottom line is the way that it has paid dividends in our marriage and in her individual professional path, like, it's been absolutely phenomenal.
Yes. All right. And so now we're on number 4. Right? So never do for your partner what they can do for themselves. Come on now. All right. Now somebody is like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? So never do for your partner, we said it, what they can do for themselves. What do you mean, Walter and Charmaine? Well, the best way to help your partner grow is to encourage them to handle their own life challenges, right? And so sometimes people get in a marriage because it's like, well, I married you so I wouldn't have to carry all of these challenges alone. And it's like, no, some challenges are literally purpose for your partner to strengthen their immune system, to build them up, to build their character, to build their leadership skills, to just build them up. And if you are taking away those opportunities, they are not growing. And that's when you get a relationship where one person is growing and elevating and another person is not. That's when you start having some problems. So please don't get in the way of the work that your partner is supposed to be doing by interfering and doing it for them. So you can support your partner emotionally, but don't get too entangled in their issues. If I have trauma that surfaces in my life, in my relationship, I have to be the leader in that work. So we want to make sure that a lack of separation can create arguments, life challenges, us all, but we need to be there to support and encourage, but not to enable.
All right. Now, this last one is Charmaine's favorite right here. Remember that you control and are the master of your own happiness.
Oh,
All right.
say it again.
So
Say it
y'all,
again.
you are the master and are always in control of your own
Amen,
happiness.
lights.
All
Come
right, y'all, listen close. Now I'm getting ready. We're getting ready to say something that is going to be controversial.
Uh-oh.
And Miss Nina, I know you got your journal out. Write this down in big letters. It is not your partner's sole responsibility to make you happy.
I almost lost some friends telling people that. It is
not your partner's responsibility to make you happy. It is your partner's responsibility to support you in your happiness. Mm-hmm. So that is very important, and it's very critical that we get that, because your partner can't make you happy. Only you can do that. That your partner can only enhance the happiness that you actually nurture in yourself, but it is not their responsibility to make you happy. And if you rely on them for your happiness, it is going to drain the space between the two of you. So make sure you take responsibility for yourself. There are certain things, Lord knows I love my wife. I would do anything for her. But there are certain things that she enjoys that I'm just not necessarily going to be good at. And there are going to be some parts of her that I may not necessarily be able to, because I'm not designed to. I'm not supposed to. Now, again, supporting her in that with the things that I can do, absolutely. But it is critical that you do not relinquish the control of your happiness and your well-being to anyone else, even if it is someone that loves you like your partner or your spouse.
And I just want to add self-care. We use that expression a lot. I want you to think about when you were a child, the adults in your life, they were responsible for your care. They were responsible for affirming you. They were responsible for helping you to remain safe and secure. They were responsible for really all of your nurturing, right? And so when we say self-care, it is the same thing. Self-care is you taking responsibility to affirm yourself, to love yourself, to nurture yourself, to make sure that you have safety and security. You have pretty much the things that you need for survival: food, shelter, clothing. All of those things are in alignment with self-care. It's not just about going to get the mani-pedi. It is about emotionally nurturing yourself, physically, spiritually, all of those things. And so when we talk about this last one, about being the master of your own happiness, again, you don't get to abandon your responsibility of nurturing yourself. And we do it. Oh man, we sometimes do it when you're in a relationship. And sometimes the longer you've been in a relationship, we do become codependent on getting that affirmation from my partner. I've been there. We can't look. We don't serve what we won't eat. And so we can tell you we both have been there, and we've had to make the adjustment. So that is a powerful thing. You are the leader in your happiness. And when sometimes we do a wellness audit with our clients to see what is the area that needs to be focused on so you can get back to a place of happiness.
And for many of us, it is a mentality shift, because a lot of people are taught that when you get into a relationship, again, it's your responsibility to make your spouse happy. It's your responsibility to make sure that you're attuned to and tending to the relationship. And we engulf ourselves, especially when you are a giver, especially when you may have people-pleasing tendencies. Yes. A lot of your self-fulfillment is wrapped up in someone being happy with you. However, that is a slippery slope, and it's very dangerous. And so you want to know what's sexy?
Temporary.
Right? It's temporary, but you know what's sexy? And I'm 46 years old. It took me my whole life to learn this. You know what's sexy? Confidence and mystery. Confidence.
You better say it.
Confidence and mystery is sexy. So one of the things that I do, I'm gonna give y'all one of my personal tips, right? One of the things that I do, I'm gonna tell them a little trade secret. So when I receive a compliment about the way that I smell, because I love cologne, I love like scent fragrance things.
Yes, he does.
So, but I usually go shopping with my wife. So my wife knows what I wear, but when people give me a compliment and ask me I never tell them what I'm wearing. Because that's a sense of intrigue. That's a sense of mystery. And so there are certain things that in your marriage and in your relationship, and we're not talking about keeping secrets that are going to be damaging to your relationships. But what we are talking about is let them miss you sometime. Let be gone a little bit.
Yep.
You know, do
If
some
you
things
home
with your friends.
every
Do some alone
Friday,
time.
Saturday, Sunday, you never go out with your friends.
Yeah.
He know where you gonna be, and
Have some
sometimes
mystery.
Dress up and wear something you wouldn't normally wear. Wear those shoes with the spikes on it. You know, I mean, just something different, something outside of that personality is really powerful. And you know, definitely forego the fairy tale fantasy.
Absolutely.
The fantasy of, oh, once we get married, it's going to be happily ever after. Again, that fairy tale fantasy. Happiness requires work.
Absolutely. Everyone, I really enjoyed this. We hope you all have enjoyed this. And if you did, please be sure to reach out to us and book a session. We would love to partner with you to make sure that you are doing the work to maintain your identity and knowing exactly who you are. Charmaine always likes to say that whether you are in a relationship with anyone or not, you are always in a relationship with yourself. Absolutely. So you want to make sure that you're focused on being your best self. My name is Walter Jennings.
My name is Charmaine Jennings.
Be sure to reach out to us at couplesacademy.org, and we'll see you all next week. Before I do, good night, everybody.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.